everybody. Thanks for tuning in to my second video in the GTR build series. Like I've said before, if you do enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so that you get notifications on the new videos that I put up. So now, as far as the goals for the GTR build, there's a few things that I wanted to hit for my own personal sort of satisfaction as far as this car is concerned. So three of the things that were important to me: one is that I wanted this to be a pump gas build. Two, I wanted this car to hit 500 horsepower. And three, I wanted the vehicle to maintain the stock location and possibly stock frame twins. So it's stock frame twin turbo system. So now, eventually what I arrived at is that I decided to use a R32 GTR NER spec turbo. Now, these are steel wheel turbos. They are the third version of the N1 turbos, and they were available on the 2002 V-Spec 2 NER edition cars. So now, locating a set of these turbos wasn't all that difficult. There were a few sets for sale in Japan, and I came across a set that was extremely low kilometers. Basically, the owner of these turbos had bought a 2002 NER spec car, and he had almost immediately sent it for turbo upgrades. So these turbos were pretty much brand new. I think he quoted me that they were about 1,000 kilometers. When I did get the turbos, they looked brand new. So now, as far as the vehicle was concerned, after selecting the turbos and deciding what I was going to do, I decided to tear the whole car apart as far as the drivetrain was concerned and redo almost everything. That's including wiring, cooling, ignition, sensors, everything. And so that was a long road, and the video today is going to be me doing the valve covers. The valve covers were something that was needed to be corrected. It was painted pretty hastily with a very flat gray paint, and so I wanted to give a little bit of pizzazz to the engine bay. And I liked the shades of purple, and that was the theme that I was going to use in the engine bay, and so I used a silver with a purple pearl base in it. And that color is actually off of a Mitsubishi Evolution 4, and it's a 1-year only color. So take a look at this. Okay, so here we have the valve covers for the RB26. They're painted in gray. So I'm going to be stripping all that off. I don't know why the last owner chose gray, but it's quite a mess here. There's a lot of runs and things like that. So I'm going to strip this and redo it. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be painting the valve covers off the RB26 here. So what I did to get ready for that is to prepare them, I used a chemical stripper, like an aircraft stripper is what it's usually referred to as. People complain about those things because they're messy. They are messy, absolutely. But I don't like to use any sort of medium that's like gritty to strip those sorts of parts, because there's always a chance that that grit is going to end up in your engine, and that'll wreck your engine. So to me, I'd rather use an aircraft stripper and spend a little bit more time scraping and preparing it than send it out to get sandblasted or glass blasted or whatever you want to use. Because like I said, all of that grit can get behind baffles, it can go all kinds of places, and then if you miss it, it ends up in your engine. And so most times that'll compromise your bearings, and so it'll wreck your engine. So why take that chance for, you know, a few hours of discomfort, maybe doing it the chemical method, right? And the aircraft stripper, you neutralize it with water, and as long as you're careful, it's not that bad. So here we have the GTR just plasticed off. We're gonna do some primer first. And so with the primer stage, primer's a little bit heavier than paint, and so it doesn't seem to hang in the air as much, so you don't get massive amounts of overspray. So the idea with these parts were that they have to be sanded with 180 grit, and what that allows is for the etch primer to get a tooth onto these. And so the technical data sheet for the etch primer, I'm using a 2-part etch primer, so it has a reducer which contains the acid and then a normal primer. And so the technical data sheet reads that you apply it, you spray it on with a normal paint sprayer that you'd use for primers, and you let it dry for 20 minutes, and then you use a primer surfacer or a high build primer over top. So for something like this, really what it comes down to is just reading the technical data sheets of the products you're using and just following it. And so my plan is to etch prime these, to prime them, let it cure, sand it a little bit, and then use a base clear over top, so base paint. So let's get started on that. Okay, so here we have the valve covers. So what's been done so far is we have the etch primer on there, we have a 2K primer on there, and they've been sanded. So if you could see on some of the spots, there's places where I burnt through to metal, which is fine, that happens. So what we're going to be doing is adding, prior to the base, a direct to metal type epoxy sealer. And so what that does is it just gives a nice clean surface for the base to adhere to. And because it has a direct to metal element in it, these small little burns won't make a difference. It'll adhere to that as well. The other benefit is if you are in a situation like myself where you don't have a ton of money and sometimes you have to buy products from different paint lines, it won't matter that these products that are already on there are from different lines, because what happens is the epoxy element of the sealer will seal everything underneath, and that will stop a reaction from taking place if the chemicals of those first 2 coats aren't compatible with the base. So you won't get a wrinkling or a weird pattern in your paint because of a chemical reaction. So it's a big benefit to seal things, especially if you're using products that are outside of a line. So if we take a look here, you can see the burns, and that just happens. That's a thing that happens when you sand. If the especially on the corners there, and you can see that there's a few spots as well where I didn't go all the way through, but you can see the original etch primer there. All right, so let's get going on the paint. We're going to be doing a silver base that has a purple, a little bit of a purple pearl in it. Thanks a lot for checking out my video today. Remember to like my page, subscribe to it, and hit that bell so that you get notifications when I put up a new video. Hope you had a good time watching the video today. We'll see you soon.